Hello everyone, we are from third group and we would like to present about code switching and code mixing. Before we start our presentations, I would like to introduce our group members. My name is Gias Fahminoholis as the first speaker, Fauji Abdulaziz as the second speaker, and then Toha Ahsin as the last speaker. So without any further ado, let's get started. First is the definition of code switching. Code switching is described as a skill of the bilingual speaker. Code switching is a term in linguistics referring to using more than one language or variety in conversations. Sometimes the bilingual speakers getting problem when they having a conversation with another bilingual. So they switch their language from code to another in the construction of sentence to make the interlocutor understand. Sometimes they do it with the same language background, and it may do so many times. Second is about the definition of code mixing. Code mixing is the other phenomenon closely related to code switching. Code mixing takes place without a change of topic and can involve various levels of language such as phonology, morphology, grammatical structures, or lexical items. Most of people in the society mix their language with other language by borrowing or using pieces of foreign languages. Even sometimes they are still influenced by first language. And then the last is about code mixing and code switching factors. Based on O'Grady, there are 8 important factors. First, the setting and the scene of a speech situation, distinguishing between the physical local and the type of activity. Second, the participants are often characterized by terms such as addresser, addressee, speaker, performer, audience, questioner, answerer, caller, interviewer, and interviewee. Third, the ends, including both function and outcomes. Fourth, the act sequence, including the content and form of speech. Fifth, the key, tone, mood, or manner distinguishing among serious, facetious, formal, and sarcastic. Sixth, the instrumentalities including the channel, verbal, non-verbal, face-to-face, and written, and code, the language or variety used. Seventh, the norms of interaction and interpretation, the basic rules that seem to underlie the interaction. And then the last is the genres. Any one of a class of names, speech, acts, greeting, leave-taking, lecture, and joke. Thus, the components of speech situation give influence to the speaker using language in community. I think enough from me. The next material will be delivered by Fauji. Fauji, the time is yours.
Oke, bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Fauji Abdul Aziz Basri and I'm as the second speaker. Now I want to describe to you about type of code switching and code mixing. Code switching and code mixing are divided into three. First, tag switching. Second, intrasentimental mixing and intersential mixing and switching. Text switching occurs when speakers use element of language in conversation where the change occurs into the conversation interrogatory or exclamatory prompt. Intrasentinel mixing occurs when a speaker changes the language in the middle of sentence, disturbing the communication of the interlocutor. And intersentimental mixing or switching occurs when speaker clause or sentence to mix switch language. Uh, and is the some example of code mixing and code switching as given by Stockwell. First, text switching, where a stock element in one language, often interrogatory or elementary, is joined to interest in another. For example, the proceeding went smoothly, but that's mixed with Tagalog and other language, Tagalog India maybe. Next is intramixing. Intrasentimental mixing indeed is particularly interesting. It could be lexical inference, since the basic structure is Dutch, or is better seen as a repeat switching. For instance, this morning I had my baby to the cat baby sister itulah. Nah, this morning I took my baby to the baby sister. That is a mixing with Malay language. This morning I had my baby, the cat baby sister itulah. Another example of this kind, the Pompier military pandesat lovart mi piste jurapid as the kim. That's mixed with Dutch language. And intrasentimental mixing or switching, where the change occurs at clause or sentence boundary. For instance, Santo etula tana eta, I'm sick. Nah, its meaning, tell them to come here that I'm very sick. That is Finnish and English. Or another example, sometimes I'll start a sentence in English y termina español. It means sometimes I'll start a sentence in English and end it in Spanish. Okay, maybe enough from me. Thanks for your attention. See you next time, and don't forget, stay classy. The next presenter will be delivered by Toha Ahsin Badrul Tamam. The time is yours.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Toha. As the third speaker, I would like to explain about the example of code switching and code mixing. The first is code switching. In a class, when the teacher teaches a foreign language, code switching also becomes strategic learning in order to develop the student skill. In the beginning of meeting, the teacher uses target language when they explain the material, then they switch again into Indonesia to make sure the student is understood. The student use the target language as much as possible, but refers to their native language. For any elements of an utterance that they are unable to produce in the target language, for example, good morning class, selamat pagi anak-anak. Now listen your name. Dengar namanya. Present sir. Hadir pak. Good. Bagus. Okay. And next is code mixing. We can see the reality of code mixing in the class. When a student saying something in English, they mix some language in the sentence that they don't know how to say in English. It means combine the language between Indonesian and English. For example, have you done your homework, Hasan? Yes, sir. Saya sudah kerja my homework. Maaf, sir. Kemarin I was sick. That's from example above. The student used the piece of English word to answer the teacher's question. It's because the student does not know how to say in English. However, grammatically the sentence of student is also suitable for grammar in English. And conclusion from this material is code switching is a term in linguistics referring to using more than one language or variety in conversation, while other experts state that code switching is the mixing of word, phrase, sentence from two distinct grammatical systems across sentence boundaries within the same speech event. And then code mixing as the term refers to another, to more language for consistent transfer of linguistic units from one language into other language, and by such a language make sure developing a new restricted or not so restricted code of linguistic interaction. Yet it should be kept in mind that in long term, when the student experience interaction with the native speaker of the target language, code switching may be a barrier which prevents mutual intelligibility. Okay, that's all from us. Thank you for your nice attention and sorry for any mistake. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.